David Lynch has a few unmade films that are pretty well known. There's Ronnie Rocket, which I covered years ago, and One Saliva Bubble, which I plan to cover more in depth fairly soon. But hidden throughout his career are a number of mysterious and fascinating projects that only the most devoted fans seem to know anything about. One that I discovered only recently was something called The Happy Worker, described by one of its proposed stars as a movie about a guy who digs a hole. You may be surprised to learn that Lynch and his collaborators have spent about 30 years working to bring this odd and perhaps deceptively simple premise to the screen. Here's the story. The Happy Worker first entered my radar when I was listening to an episode of the Trailers from Hell podcast, The Movies That Made Me, featuring comedian and filmmaker Bobcat Goldthwait. A little over halfway through, the discussion turns to Lynch, and Goldthwait mentions that he once had a meeting with the director to discuss the possibility of starring in a film for him. It comes up mostly in passing, so Goldthwait doesn't give a date for the meeting or a title for the film, but he does summarize the concept. It was about a guy who, one day, decides to start digging a hole. As he continues digging, people start to help him, and eventually it becomes a massive communal undertaking. Things take a turn when one character stops to ask why they're all digging this hole. The moment is apparently set up to make the audience think this character is about to be killed, only for it to turn out that he's promoted to management. His new status breeds resentment amongst the hole denizens, his life takes a downswing, and at the end, he leaves to start digging his own hole. I wanted to learn more about this project, so I searched around until I found a forum post connecting Goldthwait's comments to something called The Happy Worker, described as a timeless fairy tale of people and their pursuit of happiness, where an average Joe protagonist disrupts his community's universal happiness by trying to answer one burning question: what are we doing with our lives? There's a link on the forum to a 2018 casting call on Backstage, where we find a slightly different summary saying the film is about generations of people digging a hole in the desert, observed by local native tribes, who find their peaceful way of life disrupted by machinery and greed, suggesting that this is indeed some kind of elaborated version of the same project. I wasn't quite sure what to make of all this information until I looked into the film's credited director on this Backstage posting, Dwayne Dunham. Dunham is a longtime collaborator of David Lynch. He edited Blue Velvet and Wild at Heart, and directed episodes of the original run of Twin Peaks. In a 2022 interview with Filmmaker magazine, Dunham says that The Happy Worker was a screenplay that Lynch gave him sometime following the completion of Blue Velvet. I'm guessing that Goldthwait probably met with Lynch somewhere around this time as well. After the screenplay passed into his hands, Dunham spent the next 30 years attempting to film it, which he appears to have finally done in 2019. The Happy Worker is currently listed on IMDB as being in post-production, with a full cast that includes Cole Meany, Josh Whitehouse, and Thomas Hayden Church. David Lynch isn't credited as a writer, but he is listed as an executive producer, and the trivia page says the movie was filmed in a real quarry in Utah. Dunham says in his Filmmaker magazine interview that the project wound up getting postponed again when he agreed to help Lynch with Twin Peaks: The Return. Since then, there don't appear to have been any additional updates. Its completion status and potential release date sadly remain unknown. I'd hate to think the film has been abandoned, especially after so much time and coming this close to the finish line. Let's hope, whatever the final hurdles may be, that Dunham manages to overcome them.